Good to be back.
How you doing?
Good to be feeling better, that's for sure. Yeah, much better. Thank you. Yeah.
So what were the last few days like for you as you had to be away and Seth mentioned to us that you were on FaceTime calls and involved as much as you possibly could be.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're dealing with an illness, and that can take you out of it for a bit, which it did. But moments where you're feeling good, you're engaged and obviously watching close what's transpiring still, and offering anything you can. Reminiscent of COVID, really. I think I had two stints out during the COVID era, and very similar to that. Obviously, a baseline of what you can do and what you could potentially contribute remotely, obviously with a Zoom and interaction like that. And then, even in game, you feel sometimes a little bit like, you're watching and you feel like, I would imagine, how you would up in a press box or, as a defensive coordinator or something like that, I guess. So, yeah, absolutely a different perspective when it came, puck drop and game time. And, fortunate we have, we were able to have Seth come in and keep everybody in their spots and keep moving with some continuity.
How important was that to keep everybody in their spots? Because it was back-to-back games, and assistant coaches do have a lot of duties, especially in back-to-back games, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, Seth and I have been close for years. We've run teams very similar, and we talk a lot. We talk a lot through the season. We talk a lot at training camp. Even in camp, a lot of the head coaching responsibilities I would delegate to Apps and Seth when he's here. So it's just natural. And we did it during COVID, if you can remember. I can remember when I went into COVID protocol in Pittsburgh, I said to Kevin right away, just to have Seth we got to get Seth here as quick as we can. Everything else can stay the same. And I think he drove about 100 miles an hour to Pittsburgh that day and made it. But that's the point. Keep everything the same. Seth's in the routine of a head coach, so you know all the details and all the things you got to think of and moving parts and pieces. So he's done it every day this year as a head coach. So for him, there's no change for him. And he has the support of all the other guys that are here every day. So the context of it, and with that, I thought that was, obviously Kevin, and I thought that was the smoothest transition to do.
Tough blow to lose Kyle here for week-to-week basis. Is there a concern level there, or is it just another one of those things that's come up this season?
Yeah, obviously there's a concern for him, first of all, but he's been playing better and better. Certainly the last 15 games he's had a really great stretch. He's a competitor, ultra competitor. He's obviously the leader we know, and those are two areas that we've talked a lot about, being more competitive, gritty, and and it's incredible. The game that Semgus Girgensson comes back is the exact game that Kyle Okposo is now going to be out, and I talked a lot about how nice it'll be to have both of them in, because have not had both of them in for quite some time. With that in mind, that competitive guy, that experienced guy that knows how to play the game hard and direct. So that's unfortunate. Because as a tandem, they're good. They're great. They're even better. So yeah, it's another challenge.
He didn't miss any time. Something just happened in the game, and then once it's over.
Yeah, it happened during the game, and it's one of those injuries that if you can tolerate the pain, the reaction to it is gonna, if you can tolerate the pain and get through it, but that it's the next morning, the next day, the inflammation, it's gonna lock up, it's gonna seize up, whatever the terminology. So he gutted it the last little bit of the game. And you knew what was coming from that point.
You guys got 88 shots on goal those two games, I think. Yeah, 88. So, what's the takeaway? Because I mean, you win the one against Columbus, obviously, you had plenty of opportunities against Ottawa. It's just a matter of converting, translating that shot volume and the time in the offensive zone into putting the puck in the net and maybe more chaos in front.
I mean, it is because you had breakaways that could have went in and tied games. You had early chances, so of course, converting on a higher percentage of your chances is the difference. Really, it can be one of the differences. Right? It's the difference. If you're talking bottom line, scoring. Scoring is what wins. It was a situation where we generated enough. But that said, you're continually looking for ways. Obviously, what can we do better? And there's a lot you can do better. And can we go to the net harder? Can we go after second chances? Can we create more chaos net front? And the answer is you always can. So you're looking to say, okay, how do we get more of it then? Obviously our numbers are terrible when it's a back. We win, and we don't bring it into the next night to the level we need to, we have to. We obviously, with the number of the repetitions of this, we're in a phase, and we're trying to shorten that and push out of that, but we're clearly in this phase of, okay, we know we need to get better and resolve this, this being not consistent enough, bringing it enough. So shot count was high, but what were the details that could have been better?
Now, when you look at Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen against Columbus and the Rangers, he's starting to get back to the game that he had before he got sick.
I would agree. I think he's feeling better in that regard, and he's one bright spot, I would say, for us this year that could go under the radar. He's continuing to show he's adding to his game. He's getting better and better as an NHL player. Obviously, very limited experience yet, but his trend has been consistently going upward, and that's good. Obviously, that's what you want, and and his habits are good, his routine is good, his competitiveness is good, and obviously this is his awareness, his self-awareness. So, a combination of all of that, and I'm happy to see that he's going the right direction.
Dylan, he hasn't been rewarded maybe with the numbers yet, but for the last month he's been very notable. Maybe you're one of your best forwards, if not your best. Just what's changed maybe since the end of November, early December?
I had a few conversations with him, and he. I mean, this is a different territory for him. I think he felt he was. I think he even felt the pressure that he's letting people down, letting himself down, not playing to a level that he thought and that he should be. And he was pretty hard on himself and taking it hard on himself. Obviously, we were pushing him as well, and so there's different pressures there that maybe pulled him out of his element a little bit. But he's been able to just focus on the right things, to play more consistent and really get to his game. He didn't get to his game early in the year through quite a few games, and the last month and I was happy to see it happen before Jack got back, because obviously you see the chemistry that he has with Jack Quinn, but he got to where he needed to be and where he is now. Quite a few games before Jack Quinn came back, which is nice. But I think he's got better clarity and a different perspective now.
Have you guys worked with him or told him, much like maybe like Rasmus, you're hard on yourself, but there's a certain point where it's too much? I mean,
detrimental.
Yes, it becomes
When
plays in your head too
when you
much.
have competitive people, that's sometimes that's a real challenge till they understand how they can they want it so bad that they force plays, or they want to get it back the next shift, or they don't understand sometimes that they're complicating what should be simple, or they're complicating things for themselves, making it harder for themselves. And again, I think Dylan's simplified his game. He's played a much more direct game, and now he's reading plays better, as opposed to forcing a play sometimes. And we've seen that obviously with Darlene over the years. you know, something negative happens and he wants to redeem it immediately, which means you're not reading a play anymore, you're forcing it, you know. So yes, I've seen that, and I think he's, again, we're seeing, that was an experience I think Dylan went through that you know, he's going to go through it again in his career, and the hope is you shorten it because you have some experience in going through that. So I think, you know, since I've been here, that pressure that Dylan felt was a first-time experience for him at this level, and now he has some hindsight with you know, within that.
Being with down to the two goalies now, both young goalies, is practice time the biggest thing that you get with being now down to two goalies?
Practice reps. Well, you do one of the biggest things, I'm sure. Obviously, a little bit more clarity. You know, the rotation is two instead of potentially three. So, yeah, it's definitely a different realm.
And if I could just ask you one thing, I get asked this all the time. I save it to the end because it's not that important. I get asked all the time when one of your three captains is sitting, why don't you put an A on somebody else? I don't have an answer for any. So I figured I'd ask.
Yeah, I mean, do you need it first of all, and then there also you look at it, and sometimes there's two guys, and you can only pick one, and how do you pick one out of the potentially two, or maybe it's three? You know, we have some pretty good leaders beyond the ones that wear the letter. Coming to mind would be Cousins, Middlestead, Thompson, Samuelson. You know, those guys are four really emerging type leaders. So if it was longer term stuff, then I think we would probably lean toward that. But for short term, you consider it a little differently, I guess.